5 occasions for catching big fish in shallow waters when wild fishing. Wild fishing is different from fishing in aquaculture ponds, as it attaches more importance to the selection of fishing spots. This is because fish are scarce and unevenly distributed. Most places have no fish, and there are not many terrains with fish. Although there is a saying that terrain should be emphasized when choosing a fishing spot, terrain is definitely not the primary factor. The first thing is the general direction. The number of fish at a spit, a narrow piece of land sticking out into water, that is upwind, is completely different from that at a sheltered spit. We need to first choose the general direction according to factors such as water temperature and weather. Then, look for special terrains, and also consider whether to fish in deep or shallow water based on factors like water temperature and weather. Although deep water is safer than shallow water, food is mainly distributed in shallow water. Fish still have to go to shallow water to forage, so catching big fish doesn't necessarily mean fishing in deep water. What's more, it can be said that most fish are caught in shallow water. 1. Around spring. The most classic saying about choosing fishing spots in spring is fishing in shallows in spring. No season is more suitable for fishing in shallow water than spring. This is because the temperature rises in spring, and big fish that have been hungry all winter gradually enter shallow water to keep warm, forage, and then reproduce, spending a long time in shallow water. At this time, big fish have another characteristic: after being hungry for too long in winter, their bodies are almost exhausted and they have no strength at all. Catching big fish in shallow water with short rods and thin lines can only be achieved in certain stages of spring. The first change in fish activity in spring is crucian carp, because crucian carp are the most cold tolerant. Small water areas warm up the fastest, so crucian carp appear in small water areas around the awakening of insects, a solar term. However, big fish such as carp and black carp need a slightly higher water temperature to feed, and they are mainly fished in large water areas. Large water areas warm up more slowly, so it is usually better to fish around the spring equinox when rapeseed flowers start to bloom. As for the choice of fishing spot, a sunny large bay is preferred. 2 rainy days in early summer. Crucian carp enter the breeding period around the Qingming festival, a solar term, and it is more difficult to catch them after the breeding period. Here, we are talking about large-sized crucian carp, because crucian carp can be caught throughout the year, but the best time to catch big crucian carp is only in mid-spring and early winter. The breeding period of carp is slightly later than that of crucian carp, but the breeding period of big fish such as black carp and grass carp is in early summer. The temperature in early summer is characterized by large temperature differences, so the water temperature is not high, especially in the morning and evening. Therefore, when fish forage in the morning and evening, they must be in shallow water, so there is no need to fish in deep water. In early summer, if it is a light rainy day or an overcast day after a shower, you can safely fish in shallow water, because shallow water is cool and has high dissolved oxygen. After the water rises, it is even better to fish in shallow water. It can be said that the best weather for fish activity in early summer is related to rainy days. 3. Rising water in midsummer. The fish activity in midsummer is completely different, especially after the summer solstice. The minimum temperature rises, the temperature difference between day and night becomes much smaller, and the water temperature starts to soar. Although there is a saying that fish only come out when there is wind and rain, the fish activity on light rainy days or shower days does not seem to improve at all. This is because the water temperature is too high, and a small amount of precipitation cannot reduce the temperature or increase dissolved oxygen, so the fish activity is naturally not good. In midsummer, the fish activity will only get better after the water rises, and as long as the water rises, you can naturally fish in shallow water. The area near the inlet and outlet is a good choice, but the flooded land offers more opportunities. In early summer, it is recommended to fish at the inlet, because most fish in early summer are in the upper reaches, and most inlets are in the upper reaches. In midsummer, fish are in the middle and lower reaches, where there are many low-lying areas that are flooded. 4. After autumn. Spring and autumn are the peak seasons for fishing, but the fish activity in autumn is not comparable to that in spring. Because fish in spring have no strength, need to eat, keep warm, and reproduce. Fish in autumn are full of energy and eat a lot to prepare for winter. They have fewer reasons to go to shallow water, and it is more difficult to play the fish. Although there is a saying of fishing at the edge in autumn, it does not mean that you can fish at the edge as soon as autumn begins. After the white dew, a solar term, the temperature difference becomes larger, and fish gradually resume eating. After the autumn equinox, the temperature becomes cooler, and fish start to become active. The real improvement in fish activity has to wait until around the cold dew. When the water temperature becomes cool, shallow water is still cool after the temperature rises during the day, and that is the good time for fishing at the edge in autumn. Fishing at the edge is because fish go to shallow water to forage for a long time. It should be noted here that after the autumn equinox, fish are especially easy to catch at night, and if you fish at night, you can even more fish at the edge. 5. Before heavy snow. In winter, many fish stop feeding. Wild fish are completely different from farmed fish, as they have a relatively standard schedule. This is because with people feeding them, some fish are still active in early winter, but in natural waters, food is already scarce. In winter, the water temperature is cold and food is hard to find, so they simply hibernate. For example, in early winter, black carp are easy to catch in black pits, and even grass carp can be caught, but it is completely different in natural waters. For wild fishing, crucian carp are the main target in winter, and even in early winter, there is no need to fish in deep water. Fishing in deep water is not promising. The reason is simple: many big fish stop feeding in winter, but crucian carp reduce their feeding only after the severe cold. It can be understood that crucian carp fatten up for winter much later than other fish. So from the start of winter to before heavy snow, you can safely fish for crucian carp in shallow water, and you can even use the 3.9-meter rod that is not usually used. This is because after shallow water warms up, it is warmer than deep water and has more food distribution, similar to the situation where crucian carp are easy to catch around the awakening of insects in spring, when shallow water is warm and has food. Finally, it should be noted that the food of some fish is not only in shallow water, such as large top-mouth coulter and silver carp, so fishing in shallow water is not promising. The food of bottom-dwelling fish is distributed in shallow areas. Author profile: I am a self-media blogger who loves fishing and is good at sharing. Follow me, and we will exchange fishing skills and discuss every bit of wild fishing for anglers. Give a like, collect, and follow to not miss the next update.